Hey, what's up, you guys? It's your boy Quinn still, and I am here to drop a video today to discuss a topic that I think is really needing a lot of attention. They make 200K plus, and yet they envy me, and they want to tell me that I'm not that nigga. So, with that said, um, I used to work shoulder to shoulder with a lot of adults that were very remedial. In my past job, I was a Fortune 150 cybersecurity engineer that worked at Booz Allen Hamilton. So I worked next to very many six-figure plus veterans, adults that make very, very much amount of money. Now, in the spiritual community, we say that we battle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. So I want to use two gentlemen as an example that I used to work with, and for as an example of remedial adults that have an issue with me, despite the fact that they have all the money in the world and really shouldn't have a problem with me. They shouldn't have had a problem beefing with a guy who went homeless for 22 months and only has a hand and a half. Now we're going to dive into this anomaly so I could help explain this to you guys because some of y'all might be confused. Why is it that so many people that have much more than I do seem to not be able to utilize their resources as well as I can? And then on top of that, they can't do what I do, but yet they're the loudest people about me. So I want to start this video off by showing that at the moment my website is down. Initially, this was something I was a little bit embarrassed by because, hey, I'm running a business. My domain is expired. But God said that I needed to make this video so it can be an explanation as to who it is that people are talking about. So, my website is currently down because I'm an adult that has bills. Rent is due in the first. I am 35 years old and I have a roommate with an illegal Venezuelan immigrant who's my brother, David. Now, I'm not complaining about my situation at all. I donate plasma, I drive for Uber Eats, I do whatever I can to make a dollar. Now, the thing about it is, there are people who have made fun of me since I quit my corporate America job in June of 2022 so I can start my own entrepreneurial endeavors. So, one of those first gentlemen was Matthew Hennessy. As you can see, LinkedIn will tell you that him and I both worked at HostGator.com and at Booz Allen. So, I won't get into my personal feelings about Matthew Hennessy, because that's not what this video is about. This video is about professionalism and people who are consumed with the demonic entity of greed. So Matthew Hennessy was my best friend for 7 years. And so I worked shoulder to shoulder with him at Booz Allen Hamilton. He was actually the one who helped get me the job at Booz Allen Hamilton. Fun fact, I applied for Booz Allen Hamilton at his behest. He had been hounding me for, I want to say, maybe like 5, 6 months. We're friends and kept on saying, hey, man, come join my team, yada, yada, yada. So I applied to Booz Allen Hamilton directly. 3.5 weeks of silence. Of course, we do the whole internal referral game, and within a week, I think, or not even a week, I think the next day, I got a call from a recruiter, and then by the end of the week, I had an interview scheduled and all that jazz. So I go and I work at Booz Allen Hamilton. So while working underneath my best friend, Matthew Hennessy, we join Michael Vallone's team. As you can see on LinkedIn, it says that both Mike and I worked at Booz Allen Hamilton. So, Michael Vallone and Matthew Hennessy, since departing Booz Allen Hamilton in June of 2022, they have been two of the gentlemen who have been very, very, very vocal about who I am as a person and especially my professional competencies and acumen. Now, the thing about it is that because Matthew Hennessy was my best friend and he was the one who helped me get the job at Booz Allen Hamilton, he's been going around telling people that not only did he teach me everything that I know, but then also I had a client referral from him where somebody messaged me and they said, hey, I heard from Matthew Hennessy that you do compliance. Is that something that you do? Can you help me with that? So the underlying implication there is that I'm not a technical person, and I'm actually just as remedial as Matthew Hennessy. Therefore, the only thing I can do within the cybersecurity realm is compliance and GRC, whatever. Now, many people that work in GRC may take offense to that, but I will be very transparent here. There is a technical side to cybersecurity that also drives a business. If you can't touch that area because you don't understand it, That's fine. But you don't get to say negative things about the adults who actually do understand that portion of the business. It's because, from my perspective, you are the remedial adult in the situation where you can only understand policy and none of the technical aspects, because I flow back and forth between both of those areas, no problem. So, with that said, Michael Vallone, I was on his team. If you look at my own professional accomplishments and you look at Matthew Hennessy's and Mike Vallone's, you'll notice that all of them overlap around the same time where, all of us work together. Because the thing about it is that these are two examples of gentlemen who are remedial, who don't have any business being in the cybersecurity industry, in my opinion. Well, Matthew Hennessy, more, well, less so, but more so Michael Vallone, because these two gentlemen are not only people who will backstab and betray people and use people to build their careers off their back, but they will also go around and then start sullying the name and reputation of the very same people that helped them build their career. So if you go and you ask Michael Vallone or Matthew Hennessy, I'm not going to say anything my thoughts in terms of them personally, their personal character, things like that. But what I challenge you to do is go and ask them what their opinion about me is in terms of my professional competency and my personal, what they think about me as a person. And I can guarantee you that what they say about me is not going to match who I am nor who I was when I was around them. So now, with that said, I found that there are a lot of, I mean, Matthew Hennessy and Michael Vallone. Again, they're not individuals that I'm fighting per se. They are representative of the greed principality. So between ex-coworkers and family members, there are and ex-friends, there are many remedial adults that I had to leave in my past because they just don't understand how to do what I do. And then on top of that, they're wicked. So not only can you not do what I do, you are so wicked, you go around telling everybody that they should patronize you and look to you to be the leader instead of me, the guy who can actually get the job done. As a matter of fact, the guy who gets the job done so well, your career and your boss, Michael Vallone, both of y'all's careers only shine brightest when you are standing next to me. How very odd. So, given that I had to survive 22 months of homelessness before I even got to this point where, again, I have a roommate, but I'm not complaining and I'm not embarrassed. But at the same time, this is a situation where I have to highlight the way that I'm living because people want to talk about it. People want to say, oh man, Clinton was making 160K plus in corporate America. Then he fell to the wayside so that he can do drugs and, abandon his responsibilities and not take care of his daughter or pay child support. Fine, you can say that if you want to. But here's one thing that I want to do. So, Matthew Hennessy currently works at ADP. One of my favorite tools that I used to use when I was in corporate America was the salary paycheck calculator by ADP. So, this tool here allows you to just quickly type out exactly how much money you can expect to make, after taxes and stuff like that. It does all that calculations and stuff for you. Really nifty tool. So, with that said, at Booz Allen Hamilton, we got paid once per month. That means on the 30th or the 31st of the month, you got zoom, one big lump sum of pay. So I used to make $163,000 base. So what we can do is we can say I get paid monthly and I'm a salaried, and how much I make per year. There's my flat, bonuses and stuff aside, $163,000. Now, when you calculate that, it'll tell you about how much your take home is. So barring all of my federal taxes and all that stuff like that, my take home was about $10,000 after taxes when I was in corporate America. Now, my own finances aside and things like that, I used to basically spend about $4,500 a month. So what that means is that about 4,000, anywhere from $3,500 to $4,000 of my own personal money was being set aside and saved every single month while I was in corporate America. Now, that's just me tooting my own horn, my own financial literacy to let people know that I didn't just decide to go crazy on drugs and blow through all my money. As a matter of fact, my brother owes me $30,000, but that's a whole nother story. Now, what I wanted to do was I wanted to type in or what I wanted to highlight was that since I quit my job in June of 2022, Michael Vallone and Matthew Hennessy have been making no less than about $200,000 per year. Now, Matthew Hennessy, I think maybe a few months after I left corporate America, he was still at Booz Allen. He wasn't making that much. But at ADP, I'm sure he got himself into that much. Or even Matthew Hennessy aside, let's take my old boss's boss, Michael Vallone. So for sure, when I was rubbing elbows right next to him, helping him get all of those professional accolades, knocking projects out the park, he was most certainly making over $200,000 a year. So let's take a look at how much money that is after taxes. So let's type in $200,000. So when we type in $200,000, what we see is $12,000 and 280, sorry, $12,287.75. So what that means is that, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of every single month from June 2022 up until it's now August 5th, 2025, that is over 3 years of this one gentleman. And again, there's many people I used to work next to that make 140K plus. So again, 200K is for the title of this video, but trust me, I know many people who make 140 and up. So with that said, you've got grown adults who for 3 years have been getting $12,000 deposited into their account with an entire consulting firm backing them. And they cannot produce jack shit with that money. And as a matter of fact, let's do this, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to a calculator. So let's say from June 2022 up until now, that's 3 years. Okay, that's 36 months. So let's go ahead and take 36 months and let's multiply that by 12,000 and let's just call it $200. Man, would you look at that, guys? We have someone who has collected no less than $439,000 in salary over the past 3 years since I have decided to pursue entrepreneurship. And you're trying to tell me that a guy that has collected $439,000 of corporate America's salary is beefing with a guy that has a hand and a half that has to roommate with a freaking illegal immigrant? And again, no offense to my friend David. What I'm doing is I'm flexing on you niggas right now. That's what I'm doing. I'm flexing on you. You've got people who are making upwards of $7,000 every single month, envying a guy that has a hand and a half who would be sitting on a park bench smoking weed, laying on the floor of the airport, sleeping for shelter. That is the guy that these two gentlemen, Matthew Hennessy and Michael Vallone, those are the two gentlemen, the guy who can't even afford to keep his website online at the moment. That is the gentleman that everybody is beefing with. Everybody needs to know that you are beefing with a man who has a hand and a half who can barely keep his website online. And guys, if you are still interested in buying services from me, what you can do is you can go to clintonstill.setmore.com, and that is how you are able to still get to my calendar. So you can book me for services if you need to. So again, even though my website is down, you can still book me for services. But again, this video is highlighting how you can have people making $12,000 and $287 sorry, $12,287.75 per month. And he's married, so that actually is increased, by the way. There's less federal withholding when you're married. So you have someone who is making $12,000 a month who is beefing with a guy who went to create his own entrepreneurial endeavors where honestly I think I've only made $12,000 in my my tutoring company. I think if you count up all, and that's why I haven't done my taxes yet for my company. If the IRS is watching anyway, I mean they know I'm not making crap tons of money out the wazoo anyway. But the point is that you have people who are on payroll every single month. They know where their dollar is coming from. You have a guy that for 3 years, don't get me wrong, I've been doing trainings and all that stuff like that, but I want to say that as of right now, 12,000 is exactly how much I've pulled in doing only just boot camps and trainings. I mean, I do IT tutoring, individual IT tutoring and spiritual life coaching and stuff. All that money aside, I'm not counting that. I'm saying just from doing boot camps with my old training provider, Springfield, that is how much money I've made since I started that business. I want to say in 2023, yeah, June of 2023. Started doing tutoring in August of 2023. So I started doing tutoring boot camps, CISSP, Sec Plus, A Plus, all that jazz. I started doing that in 2023. I launched my tutoring business. So for the past 2 years, from August 2023 until August 2025, I want to bet you I've only made about $12,000 just from that one little business. So you have people who have been making that every single month, beefing with the guy that has a hand and a half who can only make that in 2 years because people like them have been doing everything in their power to be greedy little shits that will tell lies about who I am so that nobody actually patronizes my businesses and patronizes the guy who's actually competent and knows what he's talking about. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to record that video right there just to let you guys know that remedial adults who are wicked will always try to tear me down and tell you that I'm not who I say I am. But if you look at who the remedial adult is trying to tell you that they are in comparison to me, you'll realize that they're a remedial adult and they should have never come from me in the first place. Because when you tell a lie on me, don't forget, I can always tell the truth about who you are. All right, see you guys later. Peace.